Hi. This one is about the midterm, and there are a couple problems on the midterm where most people got them wrong. There are two of them, um, and on the one hand, it's not a surprise because I've given this one multiple times and people missed them multiple times. On the other hand, it shouldn't be that way because it was in the review sheet and it was in the homework. So this is the problem that people got wrong. The problem is I give you something, I ask you to write the complement of it. Okay, complement means this. If you have, let's say this is your universe. So this is the universe of everything. Part of it is your event, and everything else is a complement. So if this is the event E, this is complement E bar. Okay, so complement is everything else other than the event. So one thing that you might, one thing you may want to realize is that the complement is not the same as the opposite. Okay, the opposite of black is white, but the complement of black is every color that's not black. Okay, the opposite of white is black, but the complement of white is every color that's not white. Okay, so that's the idea of complement. Right. So let's take a look at this problem, for example. Write the complement of the statement that says P is less than 0.3. So that means we have a number line like this, and 0.3 is somewhere. Let's say 0.3. Then P is less than this. P is less than 0.3. So P is like 0.2, okay, 0.1, 0, negative numbers, all the way down to negative infinity. P could also be 0.25, 0.26, 0.27, 0.28, 0.29, everything short of 0.3. So 0.3 itself is not part of the event. All numbers less than 0.3. Okay, so the event is on this side. That means the complement is everything else except the event, right? So it's everything else on this side. Everything else on this side. This one is the complement. So first of all, it could be 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, etc., all the way up to infinity. But it could also be 0.35, 0.34, 0.33, 0.31, 0.301, etc. Well, can it be 0.3 itself, though? And the answer is yes. Okay. Everything other than the event. The event is 0.3 below. Okay. So the event doesn't have 0.3. That's why I have a big blue circle there. Open blue circle there is because the event itself doesn't have the number 0.3. That means the complement has to have it. Okay? The complement has to have it. Whereas for the event, it can be like 0.29, 0.29, 0.299, 0.2999, but it will not be 0.3 because it's supposed to be less than 0.3, and 0.3 itself is not less than 0.3, it's equal to 0.3. So if the event is all numbers less than 0.3, then the complement is greater than or equal to 0.3. So the complement is P greater than or equal to 0.3. All right, let's do another one. What if I'm asked to write the complement of P less than 0.08? Oh, sorry, 0.8. So let's say here's my 0.8. 0.8. P is less than or equal to, so it could be 0.7, could be 0.6, 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, etc., all the way. So all of these belong to the event all the way up to here. It could be 0.7, 0.75, 0.79, 0.799, etc. Can it be 0.8? And the event is P less than or equal to 0.8. That means it can be 0.8. So the event itself has all numbers from here. When all numbers less than or equal to 0.8. And that means by the time I look over to the complement side, I look over to where the complement is over here. And it can be 0.9, 0.10, etc. Whoa, sorry, 0.9, 1.0, etc. 0.85, 0.84, 0.83, 0.82, 0.81, 0.801, 0.80001. It comes very close to 0.8, but it will not get 0.8 because 0.8 already belongs to the complement, so it cannot belong to the sorry, 0.8 already belongs to the event, so it cannot belong to the complement. Okay, so if you look at the Venn diagram again, between the event and the complement, whatever belongs to event, it doesn't belong to the complement, and vice versa. Whatever belongs to the complement won't be in the event. So the number 0.8 itself, it can be on one side, but not the other. Okay, if it belongs to the complement, then it does not, sorry, if it belongs to the event, it does not belong to the complement. In the problem before that, the first problem, the number 0.3 itself, as it does not belong in the event, and therefore it has to belong in the complement. Right? So the complement is going to be P greater than 0.8. All right, let's take the last one. Write the complement of mu equals 51. So here's the number line, okay, and here's the number 51. And the event is just this one number. Again, complement is not opposite. Complement is everything else but the event. Yeah. So if the event gets that blue dot, then the complement gets everything else other than the blue dot. Okay? So the complement gets everything else on the right. It also gets everything else on the left. Okay? So event is the number 51. Then the complement is everything not 51. So what's the symbol for not being something? The symbol for being 51 is an equal sign. So what's the symbol for not being 51? Not equal sign. So yeah, so that's the one problem on the exam that most people have trouble with. This will become very important for us in terms of being able to write the complements. In chapter 8, when we do hypothesis testing, you have to be able to do to write a complement in order to write the null and alternative hypotheses. If you look back through these problems and try a few that make up your own problem and try a few of them, draw the number line and work them out, you'll find that you can figure out the rule if you want to. You can figure out a formula if you want to, but I'd rather not write that kind of rule or formula. I'd rather that you understand what the complement means and be able to visualize in your head and figure out on your own. One thing I will tell you though, what I said about the number 0.3 here and the number 0.8 there, because between the event and the complement, they have to cover everything, right? So that number itself, so let's take the first example, that number 0.3 itself, it has to belong somewhere, okay? If it's not in the event, it has to be in the complement, okay? And vice versa. In the second example, that number itself, if it's not in the complement, it has to be in the event, okay? So that means between the event and the complement, one of them will include the equal symbol and the other won't, okay? And that's also going to be important when we write hypotheses, and that the null hypothesis will have the equal sign and the alternative hypothesis will never have an equal sign. All right, but as for the future right now, for the midterm, this is what happened that a lot of people got this kind of question wrong. So I figure I'd tell you about it. All right, bye.